Hey guys, and welcome to another Affliction Warlock video. In today's video, I'll be going over LSP versus Jungle and how to beat it. Jungle Cleave is one of the most popular comps and does a ton of damage, and on top of that, it has a long CC chain available. As a Warlock, you'll have to kite a lot and use your port or gateway whenever you get into trouble, or before you even start taking damage. Your goal will be to have your dots up on as many targets as possible, and keep them up while avoiding as much damage as you can. Your dots will help you heal, but you will also rot down the team while you're kiting and avoiding damage. Opener. Jungle will usually open with a rake stun from the Feral on the kill target. The Feral will then get his dots up on the kill target and then look for a stun on the healer so his hunter can land a trap out of the stun, and the priest can follow up with the fear after the trap. At the start of the game, you should be looking to get a good gateway as fast as you can and get a good demonic circle up as fast as you can. This will allow you to gate and port away when you're in trouble, or to use the port or gateway before even taking damage. Make sure that you get your dots up on as many targets as possible to rot them down while you kite. In this clip, the Feral opens on me with a rake stun and gets his bleeds up. I get my Siphon Life dot on a couple of targets and my Paladin gets bashed. And since I know he will get more CC, I use my gateway to get away before taking too much damage. My Paladin gets a Wyvern Sting out of the bash, and when the Feral connects back onto me, I use my Infernals to stun him and line of sight to avoid damage. When he pops his Incarnation, I use my Unending Resolve since it's on the same cooldown as Incarnation. Here's another example of how the opener should go. I get my gateway and place my demonic circle on my gateway. I get rake stunned by the Feral and he gets all his speeds up before bashing my Paladin. I run away in the opposite direction to avoid damage since I know he will get more CC. The Feral then uses his Incarnation and I Infernal stun him before pressing my Demonic Circle and Gateway. I also use my Hellstone here since I drop low and my Paladin is in a bursting shot. They follow up with a full trap on my Paladin, and when it pops his True Shot aura, my Paladin has a trinket and put Hand of Sacrifice on me. Jungle will always have a strong and aggressive opener to try and force cooldowns quickly, but in both openers in the last two clips, they only forced some minor cooldowns from us during their burst. Since I'm using my gateway and port while my healer is in CC, I'm making it hard for the enemy DPS to do a lot of damage onto me, and we can use some small cooldowns to survive. This is how you should be playing for the majority of the game. Whenever your healer gets a CC chain, use your port and gateway to avoid as much damage as you can, while the jungle rots down from your dots and the damage from the Ellie Shaman. Rotate cooldowns. The key to surviving when being trained by a jungle cleave is to communicate with your healer. Whenever I have port or gateway, I make sure my healer is aware of this so I can use them for the next CC chain. If I have no cooldowns available or no way of avoiding damage, my healer can then use a cooldown while I wait for my port and gateway to come off cooldown. In this clip, my Paladin is stunned and gets a bursting shot on him after. I move towards the edge of the pillar since my demonic circle is on the other side of the pillar. I use my demonic circle when I'm on the edge of the pillar, and use my Hellstone afterwards to top myself. This way I only have to use my demonic circle and Hellstone to survive while my healer can sit the CC chain, and the next setup he can use a cooldown or I can use my gateway to get away. In this clip, my Paladin gets bashed when their CC chain is off cooldown, and he calls that he will use Hand of Sacrifice on me to avoid follow-up CC so that we can stay offensive since the enemy team is rotting down. I get Hand of Sacrifice and stay in to refresh my dots. The hunter ends up using his deterrent, and I kite away behind the pillar towards the priest to refresh my agony stacks on him. So since my healer used the cooldown here, we can stay offensive and end up forcing a big cooldown from the enemy team. On their next CC chain, I'll have gate and port available again, and I can kite to avoid damage. Make sure you have constant communication with your healer on what cooldowns are available to know if you can stay offensive or not. When playing LSP, it's also important that you're far away from the priest or out of his line of sight to avoid getting dispelled on your Blessing of Protection. In this clip, I'm trying to get a gateway upstairs and the Feral still has interrupts and a stun for me. So my Paladin uses Blessing of Protection on me so that I can get the gateway and stay offensive. Meanwhile, the priest is on the opposite side of the map and he won't be able to dispel the Blessing of Protection from me. Another thing to note is when facing jungle on a big map such as Tolvaron, you have to remake your Demonic Circle when you use Gateway to not get stuck in the middle of the map. Demonic Circle only has a 40-yard range, so if you forget to remake your ports, you might end up getting stuck in the middle and die. However, on smaller maps, such as Dalaran Arena, you can keep your Demonic Circle in one place most of the time, since you can port from one pillar to another. When to go for damage. Besides keeping your dots up on as many targets as possible, eventually you will find an opening that allows you to cast Unstable Affliction to put out more pressure. For example, when the enemy team has no CC chain or kicks, you can go offensive with damage, or if your healer uses a big cooldown to keep you topped, you can go offensive and try and get multiple Unstable Affliction stacks on a target. In this clip, I just used my gateway and the enemy team has no CC chain available yet. So I push back into the middle, since I still have my Demonic Circle to port back to safety. I refresh my dots on every target. By this time they have their CC chain back. My Paladin gets a bursting shot followed up by a trap. Meanwhile, I'm kiting away from the Feral so he can't connect. And as soon as he uses his leap to connect, I press my Demonic Circle to pull back behind the pillar. So in that clip, I went offensive for a brief moment to refresh all my dots so that we can keep running them down, and as soon as they have their CC chain available and the DPS connect, I port back to safety so my healer can sit the CC chain. In this clip, the CC chain on my healer ends, and since I'm on low health, he puts his Hand of Sacrifice on me. Since I know I won't die anymore, I can stay offensive and start doing damage. Another thing to note is that the Hunter has no kick and the Feral leaps towards my Shaman to swap on the Hand of Sacrifice. As soon as he does this, I realize I can start doing a lot of damage with Unstable Affliction since they have no way of stopping my casts. The Priest uses his Pain Suppression on the Hunter, but I get 5 stacks of Unstable Affliction on the Feral and he dies. So in that clip, my healer used a big cooldown on me and I was able to stay offensive and punish the jungle for playing aggressive. The Hunter used his kick and the Feral couldn't stop me since he was too far away, and this allowed me to get 5 Unstable Affliction dots on the Feral and kill him very quickly. Make sure that you communicate with your team on when you can stay offensive or when you have to pull back. Jungle is a very aggressive comp, but as you can see in the last clip, they can get punished for being too aggressive very easily, so try and punish them at the right moment. What to interrupt? The goal as any Ellie lock comp against jungle is to either make the priest go out of mana, or chain interrupts on his multiple schools to stop him from healing. The best thing to interrupt as a warlock is penance, as penance costs a large amount of mana and deals a large amount of damage or healing, since it fires multiple bolts. However, if you kick penance quickly after the first tick, it still uses all the mana but does next to no healing or damage. Your shaman can then either interrupt Shadowmend, or you can use your second interrupt to lock the priest on both schools. Shadowmend also costs a lot of mana to cast, and if the priest has to use it on 3 targets to heal them all up, he will go out of mana very quickly. In this clip, the team is rotting down, and I interrupt the priest on penance. The Hunter ends up using his deterrent, and the Feral uses a survival instincts. In this clip, I drop low and my healer is forced to use his Hand of Sacrifice on me, so I know I won't die. We have a lot of pressure and the enemy team is rotting down. My healer stuns the priest and I start casting Unstable Affliction. He uses his Human Trinket to cast Penance and I interrupt it. I get 5 stacks of Unstable Affliction on the priest and the entire team is rotting down while they're running. And so the priest ends up using his Pain Suppression. So to summarize, Use your port and gateway to avoid damage. Communicate with your healer when you can play offensive. Rotate cooldowns. Cost Unstable Affliction when you see an opportunity for it. And interrupt penance as much as you can to stop healing and to make the priest go out of mana. That's going to be it for this matchup guide. Please leave a plus skill if you enjoyed it, and let me know what you think in the comments, and I'll see you guys next time.